It's time to get serious, people. This is the business end of this World Cup. We are at the quarter-final stages now, and in this episode of the Prediction Show, we're going to focus on the first game. It is France against Morocco, 9 p.m. UK time, and it's being played in Boston. Now, this is a rematch of the 2022 semi-final where France won 2-0 on that day to end Morocco's fairy tale. They have already made history here. They are the first African team to get to back-to-back quarterfinals at a World Cup, so well done to them. Is this the day that they go out? I think people have been saying that for the last couple of rounds, but here they are in the quarterfinal against France. Our probability model is favouring France, giving them a 50.6% chance of winning this game. That is actually quite respectful to Morocco, giving them a 25% chance of winning the game, because as you can see by the bookmakers, the best you'll get is 1.61 at this moment in time. And that is because France are the best team at this World Cup thus far. They've won all 5 games without needing extra time. They are the only team to do so. Scoring for fun in the majority of games and conceding just a couple of goals. They've scored 3 or more in all but one game, and it was that Paraguay game, and we're just going to take a quick look at it because it was one-way traffic for the majority of the game. They got their goal and then that was that. Unbelievable how Paraguay did not get a yellow card. There's been a big red card for Paraguay, and one of their ministers, I think it was, who said certain things about the French team and about Mbappé. So Mbappé will be fired up for this one, shall we say. And in this game, they had 76% possession, only 1.4 XG, which is a little bit surprising given that they had a penalty as well. So Paraguay did sit back and they did make it difficult for France, who had 15 shots in the game, just 5 of them on target. And again, one of those from the spot. A victory for Didier Deschamps here would make France only the 3rd ever nation to reach back-to-back World Cup semi-finals. And Mbappé on 7 goals, one of only 2 players ever to have 7 or more at separate World Cups. Do you know who the other player is? Let us know in the comments. I know who it is. Maybe I'll tell you in about 5 minutes. And this man, Olise, is in superb creative form. He has 5 assists in the World Cup, and they've all come at this competition. That is insane. He's 1 away from the all-time World Cup record, and if he does it in a single tournament, my word, that is impressive. And speaking of Olise, here is a list of players that are 1 booking away from missing the semi-final. These are players from the Morocco and French squad. We can see Olise is there, as is Kone, and 4 players for Morocco and a couple of very important players there. Issa Diop, who scored the goal against the Netherlands, and Hakimi, who is such an important player. He gets fouled more than he commits fouls, it must be said, but still he will have to be careful because he's not the type of player that you can just take out of the team and wait for the semi-final if you get there, because the card count resets after the quarter-final. So that the semi-final you can take a bit more risk because it's much needed. Halal, El Kanous, the other players there for Morocco. How many of those 4 for Morocco will start, and how will that impact the way they play? For Hakimi, he's got to be very, very careful because he's going to be up against one of many players. They rotate all around, don't they? So it could be Dembele one moment, Olise, Doué, Mbappé can drift over there. They can double up on him. It's going to be difficult for him. Now, Morocco are unbeaten in 10 games across all comps. They drew with Brazil in the group. They've beaten Netherlands on penalties after that very, very late equaliser. They were so good, I think, against Canada. Canada had spells in the game, of course, but Morocco always looked like they could just go up the other end and score, as they did, and towards the end of the game, they were just cutting through Canada like it was nothing. They can keep the ball very well, this Morocco team, but they're also so good at defending and making it very difficult for their opponent. They've got a nice balance to the team, got some good creative players, they've got some very, very good young players in Bouaddi. I believe he could have played for France as well and has chose to represent Morocco. It's going to be interesting to watch him in the middle. He is, at this moment in time, my young player of the tournament, and he's 18 years old. He played for France under 16s, under 17, 18, under 20, under 21, and then decided to represent Morocco because they, I imagine, could guarantee him starting football. And here he is playing against France in the World Cup quarter-final. Brahim Díaz as well doing pretty good at the competition. He has 4 assists, the first ever African player to reach that at a World Cup, and he faces his Real Madrid teammate Kylian Mbappé. Now, before we put together our predictions, we are going to take a quick look at the form guide. You can check this out on oddalerts.com, of course. And for France, they rank first for quite a few metrics. So across the last 10 games, they've scored in the second half in 9 of those 10 games, and this is ranking them amongst all World Cup teams. So this is first out of 48 teams. Over 2.5 goals has landed in 9 of their 10 games. They've had 79 shots on target, that is more than any other World Cup team. They're being tackled more than any other team, but I guess that is because of the amount of dribbling those players at the top of the pitch for France do. It does make sense. They've had more corners than their opponents in every game, more shots and more shots on target. Will this one go the same way? Most goals have been seen in the second half in 7 out of 10 games that we are looking at here. Will Morocco keep this tight but concede in the second half? Let us all know in the comments. And just quickly, speaking of comments, well done to this user. You have won a month of OddAlerts Pro for your fantastic prediction in the previous episode. Same applies for this one. Just get your comments in, add your predictions for France against Morocco, and you'll be automatically entered to win. Now we'll take a look at Morocco's data here. The thing that stands out straight away is that 2 or more cards for the opponents has landed in 8 out of 10 games. Canada got booked 4 times against Morocco, and France got booked 3 times against Paraguay. And as I said previously, how Paraguay didn't get booked in that game is beyond me. But France did get booked 3 times. How many times will they get booked in this game? Will both teams pick up a card? And if so, will it be one of those players that could potentially miss the semi-final by doing so? 7 of the last 10 games have been level at half-time. That is an interesting statistic. Will this one be level at half-time as well, or will France come out of the traps pretty quickly and try and get this game won in the first 45 minutes? No team is committing more fouls than Morocco, 20.1 per 90 minutes. And their games contain the most fouls, 349 fouls in total across the last 10. And they rank second for their opponents being booked, 28 in the last 10, 2.8 per game, of course. We'll take a quick look at some player data now and then the tips section before putting together our predictions, and we can see we're starting with offside. Saibari, will he start? That is the big question with his hamstring doubt, but if he does, he could be a good play for an offside. 3 in 5 appearances so far, and France do like to push up the pitch. They've got speedy defenders, there's no doubt about that. Now, in terms of shots on target, no surprise who is top of the pile here. Kylian Mbappé with 17 in 5 appearances. That is crazy. 5 in 5 for Olise, who has also got 5 assists. Dembele, Doué. And then the best player for Morocco, he is tied with a few others to be fair, is Hakimi. Hakimi, 4 shots on target in 5 appearances. Is he a good option for one in this game? Now we'll take a look at fouls drawn as well, because this is really interesting, I think. We see Hakimi there, 14 fouls won across the competition in just 5 appearances. Olise is up there, but he's the only player for France that is. It is dominated by Moroccan players. Mbappe is 9th, winning 5 fouls in 5 games. There are just 2 French players in the top 10. That is crazy. Bouaddi winning 6 in 4. This is an interesting list. It really is. And I will be definitely taking a look at the odds for fouls won for a couple of these players. Now we'll take a look at the tips section, and don't forget to add your predictions in the comments for your chance to win and your name up in lights as well. OddAlerts AI produces these tips every single day for all of the World Cup games, free to check out on the website of course. BTTS is listed as the top ranked tip here, 11% edge and over evens. France have seen BTTS in 7 of their last 10, and they've scored in 10 out of 10. Of course they have, whilst Morocco have scored in 9 out of 10, and there is only a 4-place gap in the FIFA World Rankings. Over 2.5 goals also suggested with a 9% edge, and Morocco to score at 1.75. What's going to happen in this game? Time to make some predictions. So here's my first selection. I'm going to put together another. I do like Bouaddi to be fouled in the middle. I actually think the middle of the pitch is the weakest area for France. No doubt about it, their strength is with those players at the top end of the pitch. But in the middle, those central midfield players, they're not bad players, of course, but I think other teams have more mobile midfields, a bit more creative, a bit more technical, but there is certainly energy and industry, shall we say, in the middle for France. And I think that's what they go for, to be honest. But if I was France, I would just be looking to get it from defence to those players at the top end of the pitch, no doubt about that. Both teams to score, we saw that on the tips section, and I do think Morocco can go for it in this game. I think they've shown that they can score against anybody in recent history. They will be looking to get revenge on France for that semi-final defeat in the previous World Cup. Both teams to receive a card. Both teams have been involved in terms of the card counts in recent games. Morocco's opponents often getting booked, no doubt about that. So this is my first selection. Let's take a look at my second, and whilst we do, don't forget to add your predictions in the comments. And here is my second selection. France to get a card in the second half. I think we'll actually see over 1.5 cards in the second half in this game. And look, as I said in the previous video, games can go many ways. I think there's a possibility that France come out and just blow everyone away again and play so well that it shocks even Morocco. Because Morocco, I think, will attack them a little bit more. They've got more quality, certainly, than Paraguay. Paraguay made it very difficult, so Morocco will have to find that balance, really, and that is important in these types of games. But what I love about this Morocco side is that they've got the players to get out of tight situations and really hurt teams on the break. As we saw against Canada, by the way, they just played that game perfectly well. The data is there for France and for both of these teams, to be honest, in terms of second half goals. For there to be most goals in the second half is over evens, incidentally, which is quite a good market to go for as well. But I think France will score in the second half in this game, and I'm going for France to have over 4 corners, as they have in all but one of their games. They had exactly 4 corners against Iraq. That game was a bit of an isolated game where they had to stop playing because of the weather, and they still managed to have 4 corners. They obviously battered them as well. They had 12 corners against Paraguay, 9 against Sweden, 5 against Norway, and 6 against Senegal. And if this is a tight game, then I do think France will dominate the majority of the ball. France will have to be careful of that counter from Morocco, but I think they will have quite a few corners in this one. And my score prediction for this one, I did back France in the early videos on the channel when the World Cup started. We did the whole bracket, and I France were the eventual winners. I couldn't see past the forwards that they've got, to be honest, and that has been the case all the way through the World Cup. I think when you have a forward line like that, you can beat anybody, to be honest, and that includes Morocco. Despite how well they can defend, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to France. Could that be after 90 minutes? Yes. Could it be after extra time? More likely, but I'm going to go with after 90 minutes, 2-1 to France. Let me know what you're on in the comments. So tomorrow we will focus on Spain against Belgium. Make sure you are liking the video, commenting and subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't ever miss one of these. I'll see you tomorrow.